20% increase in value through local participation that came to local companies. That is an increase of $84 million. In 2024, the Secretariat has estimated the procurement activities will increase to $550 million, which is a 5% increase from 2023 to 2024, but a 25% increase from 2022, which we are using as the base year. Now, what is important out of this is that it is estimated that 6,000 jobs were created as a result of the local content legislation and what it brought to the economy. Then we see that what we do was addressed from different seminars, and that was the payment structure, payment time. We saw reduction in the payment to suppliers, because this was a major issue that we raised, to 30 to 45 days. We still feel that this is too long, but we're going to address that. We saw that the registration for local companies would have increased tremendously. We also saw that there are some issues that we have to address, which include fronting and rent seeking. That is renting a local company, or renting a local name, or renting citizens. That is a hindrance to local content that must be addressed very frankly, very honestly, if we are to be truthful about the conversation on local content. Now, this brings me to a few points that I want to make. But before I do so, let me say that I've currently asked the Local Content Secretariat to commence the review of the different areas we have on the local content, to look at areas in which we have built capacity as a country, to add, and to look at percentage in the different areas, because over the last 3 years, we would have built tremendous capacity in some areas, and to see how we can further accelerate those areas. Now, what local content has allowed us to do is to build out capacity. To build capacity, it requires us to change our model. So there are a number of things that goes hand in hand. Building out capacity, building scale, modeling, value creation. Those are things that go hand in hand. How do we ensure that we have value creation? Through the modeling, the business modeling, through the scale at which we operate, and through capacity building. When we started out on this local content journey, we realized that the scale of what was required was so large that no single company or capital formation could not match the scale of what was required. But slowly, we saw companies coming together. We saw consortiums being built. We saw partnership being created. Today is another example of two young ladies here coming together in partnership in creating this summit. I don't know if there are others, but the two of you are part of this partnership. Why is scale important? As a sector grows, the scale of operation in the country would also grow. And this is not only for oil and gas. This is for every other aspect of value creation. We speak about financial services. We speak about insurance. We speak about infrastructure. We speak about agriculture. We speak about tourism. We speak about transport and logistics. Every single area. We speak about pharmaceuticals and healthcare. We speak about we speak about services, the scale of operation is changing. So we have to ensure that our business model is also reflecting that change in scale. And this is where summits like these and seminars like these are important, because it allows a level of networking that allow you to bring capital together, to bring human assets together, to integrate companies, and to build the scale that is required to address the opportunities ahead of us. Now, there is one element of this equation that I think is not given enough emphasis, and that's the banking sector. How do we get the banking sector to work closer together, to integrate more seamlessly? And I keep mentioning at these seminars that the banking model needs to change. Banks cannot no longer be a counter that you deposit money and you get some, well, you don't get much interest anyhow. And you get a business model around that. And then you look at the best opportunity for lending, and you lend to that, so your returns are very high, as in your balance sheet announcement. That is not banking. That is a traditional approach to money management. Banking and finance is an art. It's an art of utilizing the liquidity in the system through structural mechanism to grow wealth and create wealth. And we need to move up the value scale in the banking sector. More on a daily basis, analyzing the opportunity in the market. And this requires some investment from the banking sector. It requires the banking sector to use analytics opportunities for the country, but importantly, in modeling those opportunities and then going out to their clients. Now, this requires a big shift in the business mindset of bankers and the client. Because if the bank is to use liquidity to create wealth, then the bank must be able to make an investment in analyzing the opportunity and creating plans, business plans, and then calling up their clients in the system and say, listen, you guys have this liquidity existing. If you deploy this liquidity to this opportunity, there's a 10% or 15% return. And that leads us to investment banking. So it's a chicken and an egg scenario. The banks are still working in a very archaic fashion, waiting for someone to bring in a business proposal to get financing, and then they look at the least risky opportunity. But that needs to change. The bank has to see itself as a facilitating role in the development and expansion of the economy, and make investment to facilitate the deployment of capital to make use of those opportunities. And to do this, the bank must not only have a local look at things, but a regional look. Now, there's one regional bank that became very successful in the region and also outside of the region, operating in Ghana, by deploying a more regional approach. There is one bank in Guyana now that's in the process of establishing a regional footprint by going into a different country. Now, why is this important? If we are building the capacity of companies here, what is the market we are targeting? Is it only building that capacity and scale and capability for the local market? Or do we now look at this capacity and scale that we are building locally and find regional opportunities, find extra regional opportunities through which we can deploy this capacity and expand the economic and financial opportunity for the local businesses? And that is where we have to position ourselves. Now, point to note. How many regional consultancy operate in Guyana? And how many Guyanese consultancy operate outside of Guyana in the region? How many regional contractors operate in Guyana? How many Guyanese contractors operate in the region? How many distribution companies from the region operate in Guyana? How many Guyanese distributing companies operate outside of Guyana? And don't tell me the opportunity is not there. As you build the scale, the government is saying we are going to invest in a regional food hub. As you build that scale, you have the opportunity in distribution to now say, let us bring together all our guys who are distributors here now, and let us create a public company. Let us work with Guyana Marketing Corporation, for example. Establish a public company. We have the diaspora unit, the diaspora in North America. We have the regional market, and then we have Brazil. So here is it, we are building this huge infrastructure into northern Brazil. And of course, you have DR. As I see you in the crowd, I'm going to remember you. And then we have the DR. Huge market opportunity. How are we going to build the scale and capability that local content exposes us to now position ourselves in this market? And that is what I want you guys to discuss. That is what I want you guys to discuss. Is it possible? Let me tell you how possible it is. Recently, I took time out to go through the budgets of all the countries in the region. And I identify some core areas that every country in the region is looking for investment in. And would you believe it? That many countries in the region are looking for investment in water. And they're ready to give you, just like you have a power purchase agreement, a water purchase agreement for investment in water. And I said to myself, my God, this scale is a 30 million US project, a 50 million US project. Why can't we get a group of local business personalities to come together in a consortium with experience that we're building? We're building 7 water treatment plants. Yes, many from external companies, but we're building up that local capacity and go after these opportunities. Hopefully we have encouraged enough of them to go after these opportunities. But you can transform overnight your portfolio from selling water, 3 big companies selling water locally, to owning water distribution or owning 40-50% of water distribution in one of the countries. Imagine what that does to your company profile. Imagine what that does to your capability and your scale. So, speaking about the hundreds of millions of value we're creating is good, US dollars. But how are we converting that hundreds of millions of value to billions of dollars in value? How are we doing that? How are we deploying this additional revenue that is coming to greater value? Second point, for example, is a consortium we built around the catering services. Just one trip I took to the FPSO. And right there and then I said, this is a major opportunity. We brought together a consortium. Today, they're expanding that consortium. They're expanding that consortium. So, having addressed what capacity and scale should be, we then have to address the model. What is the business model for the future? When you look inward as to the growth that will take place in our country, when you look and do the regional analysis, what is the business model? Is the banking sector having the right model to what is required? Is the services sector having the right model? From the government side, we are developing the model to match the economy of the future. That is why you're seeing such major investment in education, but not just education, in building out new form of education to increase the skill level, moving towards more IT, ICT type jobs, and even in the area of offshore or nearshoring jobs, going higher up the quality chain, so that we entered into an agreement with the government of Canada, with the Canadian University, to give 2,000 local persons the skill, the certification, then integrate them back into the economy with a minimum earning of between 25,000 to 30,000 US annually as nearshoring. That program is already ongoing. Yeah, one of the problems is to find enough people to get on board. We have 1,200 persons on board in that program already. So who do we target? And I'm happy that you have university students here, because your culture needs to change too. If you go to, you don't even need to go anywhere. If you go to Pegasus, we are Texas, yeah, and you go to the Marriott, you will see that you have students from Nigeria, from Ghana, from India, who are studying here and they're working whilst they're studying. Here in Guyana, we somehow believe this is demeaning. We need to get out of that. There is a lot of value to that. Not only the earning value, and I want us to change that before we go to free university education and go to free university education very quickly and rapidly. But that can also allow you to be more laid back. Because in a developed society, you have to earn whilst you're at university because you have bills to pay. But it's not only about earning, it's the experience. It is adding to your theoretical knowledge. It is being in the work environment. It helps you academically, it helps you as a person, and it builds that experience that is necessary to transition from the world of education into the world of work. We have labor shortage all over. We don't see enough of our students in the labor market. And that is one of the things we're addressing. That's a low-hanging fruit. Because for us to grow at the rate we have to grow, we have to deploy every single labor that is available. And that is why also we are trying to reskill women who are at home to re-enter the workforce. Because if you want to grow family wealth and community wealth, you have to increase disposable income at the family level and the community level. Once you increase disposable income, you increase spending power, you increase propensity to save, and you give them the ability to own things. And that is a major part of empowerment. So that's another part of the strategy. So for example, now, we need maybe hundreds of operators. Every day, we are getting complaints that you don't have operators. We need hundreds of clerk of works. We can't find them. A student with 5, 6 subjects CXC would master, do it becoming an operator maybe in 2 months. And that student can work 1 shift and earn minimum maybe $1,200 every month. This requires a shift in thinking. I was very pleased a few days ago to see some workers, skilled people, telling me, young people, telling me that they're making use of the opportunity. They're maximizing their hours of work. On the other hand, I'm very concerned that you have persons in the economy, and this is a local content issue, who are not maximizing the opportunity. Because a driver 3 years ago would have worked the entire week and earned the same that he earned in 2 days now. So instead of maximizing the opportunity and deploying that additional wealth to value creation, they work 3 days and relax for 4 days. Isn't this reality? Isn't this what you're faced with? That's the complaint I'm getting. We have to address this. We have to address it. Because this can slow the growth of local companies, of the local economy, and it can also create long-term structural issues. So modeling, that's an issue that we have to address, finding the right model and building out that model. Looking at local opportunities, we brought together the Guyana Shipping Association and all the other stakeholders there. Look at areas where we can use local opportunity to create further wealth. And scale becomes important. Because if you look as an individual at an opportunity, for example, in shore basing, the scale is too much for you. But when you start deploying more persons, the scale becomes more manageable, but the risk also reduces because the risk is shared. So if you have $10 million US and you have a project for $10 million US, but you have 10 persons with $1 million US each who are willing to come into the project, you still have the project of 10 million US, but the risk is diversified. The risk is shared. You don't have a $10 million US exposure anymore. So the investment decision becomes easier because there's a diversification of risk. And that is how we have to approach the scale of opportunity that is coming for young people. I love many young faces I'm seeing in here. Very pleasing. You have the opportunity to build a new culture. You don't have to change a culture. You have the opportunity to, I see Sanjeev looked very excited when I said young people and I went like that. Nowadays, Sanjeev, we are the older persons in the room. We have to admit that there are many young, there was a time when we were the young persons in the room. So don't get excited. You and Indar gone past that. Yeah, so we have to think about this very carefully. We have to think about this very carefully and have a very integrated conversation. banking sector, the insurance sector. Everybody must be part of this conversation. Then we go to the manpower mix and the knock-on effect. So as a result of the changes that is taking place in the oil and gas sector, an investment we are making, for example, the 120 million National Skills Training Center in Port Moran, that will train our people and certify them to the highest international level. We will soon build capacity that is outstripping our scale here. So what we can learn from Trinidad and Tobago? Trinidad and Tobago, in their oil and gas sector, they have companies that are outsourced in Houston. They strip down facilities in Houston. They get the contract for the maintenance of facilities in Houston. They get the contract for, there's a downtime period for these methanol plants and so on, that you work 4 days, 5 days in the year, but the revenue takes care of the year because everything is time. We are now having this opportunity to position ourselves in that market. Utilizing this investment we are making to build the competency and the scale, how do we now create that knock-on effect where we work on building companies that can now position itself into these opportunities? You have a country that gives you an advantage now because the country is known. We are known to be a major player. The country automatically is helping you to create network. The country automatically is giving your company a brand position. You have to love Guyana more and more every day because Guyana is giving all of you a new brand position. Erase all the noise that we have here locally. This country, this brand Guyana, is helping to position all of you differently, all of us differently, even as leaders. We have to help the brand also. The brand can't do all the work for us. We have to help the brand, just as the brand is opening up the opportunity for us. Guyana is our brand. Go to Caribbean Airlines magazine, flight magazine. Go through all the ads. Especially the local ads. And tell me how large the brand Guyana is shared. It hurt me because I will see every brand huge St. Lucia. We have a brand that is helping us, and we still put the brand in fine writing. These are important things. These are very important things. You fight for local content, more in local content, but what are you doing for this content? How are you positioning this brand? For the brand to get stronger, you have to also build a brand. So if you think knocking the brand every day is in your interest, then God help all of us. Because this is the brand that will have to secure us. This is the brand that will have to position us. You want to create world-class healthcare? Start selling the brand as world-class healthcare. Start celebrating all the accomplishments accomplishment we're having at Georgetown Hospital, second to none, in a rapid pace. Some of the finest surgeries, finest doctors we have, start celebrating each other. Celebrate the brand. Celebrate the accomplishment of the brand. Celebrate the positioning of the brand. And you will create a world-class health service that will bring value, that will create value, that will expand value for us here. And that is what we're doing from the level of the state. We're going for the best. I leave here after now to go to meet University of West Indies School of Medicine, because the brand will be here at the New Amsterdam Hospital, a teaching hospital. How do we make Guyana the #1 spot for the training of nurses for the global market? Guyana is known. No longer people have to say, oh, where is this place? Is this Ghana? The brand has already established where we are. The brand has already established our credentials from an economic perspective. Now let us harness this brand and say, utilizing this brand, Guyana. Guyana, the home for nursing. You'll sit here and let it knock-on effect go past you. Somebody's going to come and open a world-class ecotourism facility right in the rainforest with VIP tents at $5,000 per night. Costa Rica. Go right here. Go in the region, you'll see it. Book for 5 years ahead of time. And then you'll say, if I didn't know. The knock-on effect is important. Why can't we build together a world-class ecotourism company or facility here? Our brand has given us the best natural environment to sell not the #2, the #1 ecotourism facility in the world. We can sell 6 minutes from the capital a world-class ecotourism facility. Which other country can give you that naturally? How do we position ourselves? My sister said she grew her fleet to 20 vehicles. What about growing it to 6 more vehicles specialized in safari? Specialized in rainforest tour? And that was all the fiscal concessions, by the way. Is the glass half full or half empty? Someone is going to come because we are pursuing it aggressively. I spoke to the guys at the racing track, the Guyana Motor Racing Association, the motor racers, a year ago. And I said, guys, this took me up to the fancy VIP place. And too fancy, but they had good food. And when I was up there, I looked around and I asked them, what do you see? And they said, oh, you know, look at the new track. You guys invested big in the track. It's beautiful. I said, no. I see a casino here. It's a casino? I said, yeah. I see revenue like a casino. Because when you look around that track, you're 1.5 minutes away from the airport. You have a racing track. You have world-class eco facility, fresh forests, you have creeks, you have white sand. Imagine a ecotourism facility 1.5 minutes away from the airport where you can also enjoy racing and drive maybe 1 or 2 Formula One cars. Immediately you're talking about a different market. Positioning. Positioning. You talk about people, you have to talk about positioning. Opportunities. The opportunities are there. We went to a meeting in DR, went to Punta Cana. I came out, all the private sector with people with me, because we did it in one day. They saw beautiful beaches and nice blue water. I saw opportunity. Because when you look at that airport, you saw all the private jets. Because it's a different market. And I said, imagine you come for sun, sand, and sea. But we tell you that in a day, we'll show you the most powerful waterfalls. In a day, we will carry you, or 2 days, we'll carry you to walk on the canopy of the rainforest. Or give us 3 days, and we'll give you the most intense adventure tourism added to that product. Because this is a captured market. They come in with the private jet, they have the resources to jet on back for another 2 hours to Guyana to enjoy something different. Because they're willing to pay for that. How do we create this add-on value? How do we come together in the tourism market with the government and say, this is a peak season in Barbados. All these tourists coming. How do we jointly invest in an efficient way of moving them into our tourism market for a day or 2 days? How do we market it? The infrastructure is being created. We are building out to northern Brazil. We are building out to Suriname, new bridge across the Quarantine River. Suriname is building out to French Guyana. How are we positioning ourselves in this environment that we're building? It's very important also for us to look at the development context and how the development context is changing. But that is a subject for another day. The development model, I've been speaking about the model all the time. We have to examine, and you must understand what is the development model that we're using. And in that model, you will see that we're going for more private investment, even in public services, public infrastructure. You will see that a new development supporting platform is being created. You have to see how you position your businesses in this supporting platform that is being invested in, that is being created. And then, of course, we have to look at the backward and forward integration. Looking into the future, consortiums in shipping, logistics, regional food hub, agriculture, marketing, gas, and what gas will bring to us, building out that whole gas infrastructure. Give us the possibility of moving. Can you imagine the logistics of moving gas into northern Brazil? The logistics of moving urea, the logistics of the corn and soya. And it requires conversation and nurturing. We started from nothing. By 2026, we'll be exporting corn and soya to the region. We started from nothing. By the end of this year, we will be self-sufficient in black eye and red beans. By next year, we'll be exporting to the region. By 2026, we'll be taking over the regional market. Onions. We have proven experimentally that we can produce all the onion in the market. That saves foreign currency and create market opportunity. Brought together young people. We are now working on producing all the pepper for St. Lucia because they have huge demand for pepper there because of the value added that they have. Historically, it would have needed 200-300 acres of land with a lot of labor. We supply all of that with 30 shade houses. Context. Understanding context, understanding the shift in the development plan, and understanding the supporting platform. So, distribution, and then industry and manufacturing. We are sparing no effort and resources in building out a healthcare industry that has backward and forward integration. We want to manufacture vaccines. We want to do so quickly. We're going to build out industries here. Very soon, I'm hoping to officially launch Silica City. The modeling is being completed now. We're testing the model with the University of Miami School of Architecture. And this is going to be a city built for the future. So, as we come together today to look at opportunities, let us not limit ourselves to what happens here, and let us also not make this a complaint forum. Let us not make this a complaint forum. Sometimes we bring so much negative energy in a room that the positive vibes escape us. The future is ours. You decide how you shape it. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you, Mr. President. So initially, how long did he take? Which I always speak in time. But I think you would agree with me that you did not mind paying rapt attention for the hour or so that he spoke, because he really gave us a lot of nuggets to take away. I think the most important thing I took out of that was how important context is. There's a lot of information around, and I think it's our responsibility as responsible business people to put that information into context. And I believe that the president has done a great job of that. Just wanted to remind you of a few key things that he touched on. Build capacity, build scale, modeling is key, value creation is the goal. And the whole objective of local content has to shift from just looking at what are the local opportunities, and rather to how we're going to ultimately build capacity to position ourselves to compete globally and regionally as leading companies. And we should not just stagnate at what is happening in Guyana. He spoke on elevating Guyana the brand, Guyanese the brand, and just how much work there is that goes into that. They have created an opportunity for us to do so, and it is up to us
to sell the brand, to celebrate the brand, to elevate the brand. He always uses the words, is the glass half full or half empty? And I really like that because it comes back down to context and perspective. It really is what you do with what you're given. And I think for those of us who are in the room that understand how we move our business from year to year, how we expand and how we grow,
We
we always have to
look
look
at where the opportunities lie. It's not just about the challenges. Challenges are just opportunities waiting to be created and solved, right? He gave us some nuggets on where investment opportunities lie,
and we are going to touch on
that in our very first panel. But I think you would agree with me that the president gave us a lot to
ponder on, and he has definitely set the framework for what is to be the essence of today's discussion. I know that you've been here a long time, so to allow the president some time to leave, because he did mention he had another commitment, we will move into a brief coffee break and we will resume the program at 11:15. Thank you very much.
Show them your little finger. Little finger. Show them your little finger. Little finger. Show them your little finger. For me pocket. Dig up 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 for me pocket. Now don't mix me. Don't mix me. Don't mix me. Dig up for me pocket. I don't do politics. Just get jacket, right? Get jacket. Walking. They're walking. Them walking. They're walking. Now I said them walking. A little mix me. I don't do politics. Yo, nobody not selling out. We talking facts. Facts we dealing with. Nobody not selling out. We talking facts. I been to Guyana, man. I have to go back. The way how the country looking, man, they left me shocked. Who's ever in charge? Them put we on the map. The men them look healthy.